Hello and welcome. So, I am Enclave, and this is take two, and I'm joined with my host, Afterglow. I'm going to say this right now. If we sound like death, is because, yes, we are sick, but the show must go on. So, from here on out, each of these videos are going to be labeled from chapters rather than parts because Afterglow brought up a very good point. Sometimes we do a single chapter and sometimes we do two chapters, and it just doesn't make any sense if we're just going to name it after the parts. So from here on out, we're going to name it from chapters so it makes it easier to listen, easier to catch up, and, chronically just better. So this
Hey,
is, what's up?
I want the audience to be clear. This is not a whole re-record like last time. He just managed to fuck up in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I can't breathe through my nose. Okay, I cannot breathe through my nose. I'm only breathing through my mouth. So I don't know if you've ever been sick before, where like your nose is congested and it has that weird like I don't know, like you can't breathe properly. So it sucks. But again, the show must go on. Um, so yeah, um, chapter 18. Chapter 18. It is unnatural causes. And right off the bat, I'm just going to read this part, okay? I'm going to read this part. And we rarely read quotations, so I think from here on out we should probably have some more quotations in the reviews so it can add more weight to what we're saying. Finally, I had found another mare whom I respected and admired, and who respected and maybe even admired me in return. One who was attracted to mares and who I could believe was at least a little physically attracted to me. We weren't in love, we barely knew each other, but there was a possibility of love. There was, in a word, hope. The last 16 hours had made for a very long day. As much as I would have loved to spend the next several hours with Homage, she had realized straight away that I was in no shape for anything but sleep. So she had sent me back to my suite where Velvet Remedy and, talks about Velvet Remedy healing her and all this other stuff. So, yeah. Um, Weird. Again, the chapter starts off with hope, and it really does paint the image of little Pip being like this hopeless romantic and this and that, even though in the story we've only known her for maybe about a month to a month and a half. We don't know much about her in the sense of like early, childhood. We don't know much about her like growing up and this and that. So it's just weird when that's just said. And then the fact that she's like really trying to stick on homage is also a little weird. Um, let's just put this into perspective here. This is how you know that K Cat and whoever decided to read over this and edit this gave the green
You
light.
think they had a proofreader? Ah!
I'm just saying, man. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But if I was outside looking in, giving feedback to them, I would have been like, "This isn't a healthy relationship." They've only known each other for like a day. Don't get me wrong. There is such thing as like true love. The first time you meet eyes with somebody, and I'm sure there's like moments where you really feel a spark or connection with someone after being with them for a whole day, and this and that. There's that good touchy feeling, you know. I've experienced that. I'm sure you've experienced that, but as you grow older, you get more experience and this and that. You start to realize that that's not like a healthy way of like looking at it as an adult, especially as an older adult, you start to realize that what am I willing to invest in said individual, and are they investing in me? Is this a 50-50 type of thing? Is this a 100 type of thing? It just depends on the situation by situation. And from last couple chapters to now, it feels like, yes, I understand it's the apocalypse. Yes, I know you want someone to be watching your back. Yes, I understand that, maybe you might not ever see this person again, so maybe they're a little bit more love bomby, if you I hate that word, but people are gonna use it. So I guess you can say it's a bit more appropriate in this context. But yeah, what are your thoughts about just right out of the gate, we're told that. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I don't know how you're so surprised he was doing it regardless for the past 17 chapters, but
Hmm.
Little Pip just tends to get super horny out of nowhere for some reason. I don't know.
Mm, yeah.
I think she should get Calamity help with that personally, but I guess not much will work.
Didn't you say last time that like they shouldn't ship them together?
Wait a minute.
I just put the video up today, and I think that's what you said like towards the end of that review where you're like,
It is a generic shit, but who else is he gonna go through? Fucking Steel Who?
"Oh yeah."
Oh, no, that's gonna be nasty for reasons we'll find out later.
It's funny because we don't get like any other male interaction. Like just based off of what we have so far. Like the only males are like throwaway characters that are only there for to say a couple lines of dialogue. Then you have Steel Hooves, Calamity, and that's pretty much it. So it doesn't really give any opportunity for that, but we get plenty of mares.
I
Um,
mean, Steel Hooves is also loyal to his mare, so he's still not fucking her.
true. True.
Ugh, so based.
So well, okay, I'm not gonna say that, but good on them. Good on them for being loyal for that long. Um, but yeah, it's just too quick of a move. Another thing that really pissed me off because we go on right where she's washing up, and she's just thinking about what's been happening and this and that, and she hits her horn on the sink, on the faucet, and she like groans in pain. And I'm just gonna ask you this side question: do you think the horns on unicorns is it like a hard bone, or do you think it's like cartilage? Because in some of the episodes, right, of the show itself, like the horn bounces up and down when it gets hit. And bones don't do that unless it's like loose in their head somehow, and that's just kind of like a weird, you know, design flaw, right?
Nah, it's a
So
bone. In Project Horizons, it's a bone.
it's a
So,
bone.
canon.
Oh well, yeah, like right off the well, it's like the second or third chapter where Blackjack just whacks the hell out of that raider, or not raider, slaver. So that was
What's the difference? Just kill them all.
true. They're both scum of society. So she whacks her head, and then Velvet Remedy, of course, making smart remarks. Like, that's not how you drink water. And I was just like, dude, can you just shut up? Like, it's bad enough that she just hit herself and she's having like a heavy, deep thoughts and this and that. And then last chapter, you made her feel like crap. And then you're back to your old self. I hate that. It's like there's a little bit of character development, and then we just go back to how she was. So,
Hey, I can't believe our hatred for Velvet still hasn't waned out at all.
well, I mean, I'm gonna start saying comments about Little Pip now because this is the part of the story where now I'm rereading it or re-listening to it, whatever, and I just thought of her relationship with Homage like right off the bat. It was just kind of weird, and like Homage too, like she's a bit older than Little Pip, so she knows what she's doing, and then also too, knowing that she's kind of using her also kind of doesn't put a good feeling within.
How old is Little Pip?
They say
Early
she's
20s?
they say I believe Velvet Remedy says she's like 2 to 3 years older than her.
That doesn't give me any reference. How old is Velvet?
We don't know. None of these
Okay, I'm gonna
characters
say early 20s. I'm going main six rules.
sure, yeah, we'll say that. So like we can just say that Little Pip is probably like 18, 19, while Velvet Remedy's like 20, 22. So Ahmed is probably also like 20, 22. And she's just slightly bigger than Little Pip.
I'm just grooming Little Pip. That's great.
Probably. I mean, at least we get more character traits for Homage than Little Pip. Because again, from reading it all the way now, we still don't get a reference of what Little Pip looks like. The closest thing I got was when Velvet Remedy was offering her a dress so they can have a meeting with DJ Pony 3. And what happens is that she picks two dresses out. So my mind, of course, went to the first thing was like, why are you wearing dresses to like meet somebody? Like, it doesn't really matter, whatever. But the other thing was, they didn't specify what colors the dresses were. They just said like, oh, it complements her coat. So if they would have said the colors of the dresses, maybe I could have like guessed the coat color. But we're still in chapter 18, and all we know about little Pip is that she has a cutie mark that is a pip buck, and that she's smaller than most mares. So again, it's pretty interesting how we got stuck with the gray coat and brown mane, and the mane is in that style. So if I'm wrong, which I sometimes am in these reviews, and if they said any other physical traits, by all means, add it in the comments. But for right now, we don't know much what she looks like, and I just find that really interesting because we're on chapter 18, getting close to basically the middle, and still don't have any like physical traits. But other than that, they finally meet DJ Pone 3, even though it's just
No, hold
homage.
on.
I know, even though it's just homage.
You're missing something.
What?
Well, my notes here, it says do better, and there's a little picture of Blackjack. So if something happened with Fluttershy.
Oh, you're talking about the posters and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's like the first time we
Yeah, you're
see
right.
posters that aren't just like fucking propaganda or pinkies.
Yeah, we see a clear Pinkie Pie poster as well as a poster of Fluttershy saying "do better," and it's funny because Little Pip's like, "Oh yeah, do better, this and that," and like, "Oh, no wonder why Velvet Remedy is like wanting to be like Fluttershy." And then when she said that, I was like, "I don't see it, Chief. Like, I don't see it. I don't see her trying to be better or do this or do that. It's just she's a
Only
jerk."
Blackjack can do better.
You sure about that?
Uh, she tries more than Little Pip or Velvet.
Hmm.
Definitely more than Velvet.
Yeah.
I mean, Little Pip just kind of stumbles ass backwards into sleep or Dems and health code. I mean, this Blackjack goes out of her way.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I just don't like it how she's trying to, quote unquote, be like Fluttershy. But granted, when we get there, we get there. Uh, I'm gonna have a new hate boner.
Oh, poor Fluttershy. Character assassination's crazy.
For real, for real. So, yeah, the
They go and eat homage, and then Velvet catches Little Pip staring at homage's ass. Classic.
hmm
Not the first time. Probably not the last.
yeah. So she's mad at Little Pip for not telling her the truth, but you know, again, I feel like they blew their load way too early on like the reveal. So it didn't really have much weight once they found out that, oh, she's not who she says she is, and then she gets mad at Little Pip, and I was just like, I don't get it, but whatever. And then what is it? I do appreciate that she does recordings. They say that she did 4 hours plus of recordings. She did a few takes on
So
some
relatable.
songs. Huh?
So relatable.
Oh, yeah. Okay, buddy. But she does that, and then she makes sure she's perfect. So I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that she took the time to make sure that that her singing and stuff is like on par and is really, done well in that regard. She goes all out. She has her own like instruments like through magic and this and that, and it paints a really colorful image when we're reading this part. So it's interesting to see if had Stable Tech Studios on YouTube would have done what they promised to do instead of like giving up after making like one or two short animatics and that was it. So
Hey, bud, I'm still waiting for Ashes of Equestria to come out.
so like maybe we can do that as a bonus episode before we get on to to chapter 20 and 20.5. Maybe we can do a little Stable Tech Studios lore dump on the channel. But yeah, they were, long story short, they promised a full-on animation of vanilla Fallout Equestria, but then they started losing a bunch of people, and then animation
I
got
mean, like, you know how long that would take?
I don't know. There's been
I mean,
people
if they're
that,
doing the whole thing, they probably still wouldn't be done today.
yeah, well, maybe don't bite off more than you can chew. I mean, I learned that lesson well, but you know, apparently they had a team of artists and voice actors and this and that, and didn't really get that far. From what I know, there were people that basically lied about stuff that they knew how to do, and you know, probably a name that no one's really known about. But there, you remember Frame Rate Real? Remember that guy, Shedman?
I mean,
Ancient
hit me with
lore.
a flashbang.
Oh yeah. So, side note here, folks, for those that don't know, there was a man called Shedman, right? Not to confuse him with Shadman. It was a man
He
who lived
wishes.
in, yeah. Oh no, God no. Either way, it's horrible. But this was a guy who used to live in the back of his parents' house in a shed, and he had to go in to use the bathroom in their house because there was no proper plumbing in the shed. And he told me that he applied to be an animator slash artist for that. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Let me see your art. And he straight up tells me, I don't know how to draw. I don't know how to animate. So if they had people like that join that project, no wonder why they failed.
Imagine make people join an art project and you won't even make them post any art or anything.
Exactly. So it's just word of mouth from what he said. I don't know if that's entirely true. Again, we can probably look into it, do a little bit of investigative journalism, and make a little special about that. So, like I said, it was supposed to be a full-blown animation of the whole story. Then it got bumped down to a motion comic. Then it got bumped down to a regular comic, and now it's just dead. The project is long gone. So it is what it is, folks. But yeah, going back to the story. Um so we cut into Steel Hooves just wandering around ten Pony Tower. And it's funny because like Homage makes like a little comment about it. And I got really upset at this part. She makes a comment saying like, "Oh well, you're traveling with the Steel Ranger. Like you should know about this and that." And like little Pip too. Like I don't know why she didn't like have like a little. This is the part where I wish they would have had a conversation about you know lore and this and that, and not even coming from the Steel Ranger themselves, but coming from like a third party that probably doesn't know the whole story. If I were to want some information, I probably would want it from someone that was actually in that organization. But I digress. Um, she starts the conversation and like doesn't really fully explain it because then she goes on a little lore dump about how 10 Pony Tower gathers their supplies, which is interesting because if you think about it, the reason why all these items are so expensive is because they're not paying for the items themselves, whether supplies or food. They're paying the scavengers to find said supplies and food. So now I understand why everything's so marked up, because they have to pay the middleman and they have to pay the restaurants and other stores, to be selling those items and stuff like that. So a lot of people are involved in that. And it was interesting and I liked that part. It was pretty good. And then finally she explains why like she brought up the whole Steel Ranger thing earlier and saying like, oh yeah, they're like the knights of old, basically. And they want to protect technology and kind of explaining it how we would in I would say maybe Fallout 1, because in Fallout 3, and I know you play Fallout 3, even though it's probably not the best one. It's okay. Um, the Brotherhood of
It's no
Steel,
Van Buren.
it's no Van Buren, yeah. It's no Van Buren for sure, you know. But I bet not a lot of people even know about Van Buren. Um, I was gonna say that the Brotherhood of Steel had, two different ideologies. That's why they split off. There was the outcasts, and then there was the, normal Brotherhood that, well, I got that mixed up. There was the outcasts, in which believed in the original doctrine that just, find technology, protect it, study it, invent and use things and that. And then there's the outcasts that are, um, no, sorry, again, I messed that up. Outcasts are the core
Yeah.
ideology doctrine. Then the
Yes, you are
Brotherhood,
boring me.
sorry. Well, I have to tell these people because some of them don't know. And the regular Brotherhood of Steel, right? In Fallout 3 are actually like the quote unquote liberal Brother Steel. They care for the wastelanders and this and that. So, if you didn't play Fallout Tactics, you wouldn't even know that there was a schism. And that's what
Because I'm
schism, whatever. So she just goes on a little like see, I'm dying.
he's got the taint.
I got it. And yeah. So another funny thing happens here, and you can take the torch because I'm gonna probably have a coughing fit. Um, so she starts to tell about like her old friend, and she's like, "Oh, like do I ever get to like Little Pip's like, oh, do I ever get to meet them or this or that?" And she's like, "My friend didn't make it." And then Little Pip, literally the next line over is, "I felt well relaxed." What the hell,
And
dude?
it that is brushed over very quickly. Like doesn't seem like how much really cares.
Yeah. But I mean, later
Also,
on, later on, she's gonna explain why she didn't care at the moment. But go ahead.
I guess they couldn't call the Steel Rangers the Mayorhood of Steel, huh?
No.
So, uh, yeah, the funny happens with Homage where Lil Pip's talking about how. Oh yeah, no, fucking Monterey fucking bitch faces kid show up and he's like, when our daddy's gonna die, and I just point and laugh. Maybe your dad shouldn't have been such a dumbass. Maybe he should have self-reported.
Yup. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta be honest, even if it means throwing my kids out into the equestrian wasteland all on their own.
Yeah. I still don't get that. I still don't understand why he was that way. And again, I think from what I said last time in the last recording, I feel like Monterey Jack was supposed to be a more important character, but they just kind of got cut.
I'm glad he wasn't, honestly.
Well, here's the thing: would you rather have Monterey Jack or Velvet Remedy?
Well, we're stuck with Velvet either way. It's not like he was gonna replace her as a party member.
Well, yeah, but do you think that like the dislike and it would have been like filtered out, or it would have just been still focused on Velvet Remedy the most?
Probably Velvet, but
Uh,
still, what a shit character.
yeah, and I mean that's pretty much it. They talk and they eat and they drink and oh,
And also, so the Little Pit decides to try that she's gonna save Monterey from prison
mm,
somehow.
mm-hmm,
And Ahmed is all like, "No, I don't want to lose you already." Like, bitch, we barely known each other for like what 2 days,
yeah,
and you're already acting like that. Yeah, that's kind of sus.
yeah, very weird. I will say that. Not very good if you look at it like hindsight being 2020 here. But that's pretty much it. I mean, they just kind of talk a little bit, and then after that, they little Pip goes on a little adventure. The whole Riley's Rangers, aka Talon Company, they're gonna go save them. But as they're walking around, there's another moment in which in the game it probably would have been explained a lot better had we seen it also too, like if it was animated, like they promised it was gonna be. Um, the ambience, hearing ponies fighting raiders and probably monsters, and then hearing other things happening in the background. Calamity going around scouting ahead. I really like that. I like that a lot. Like he's just not kind of walking around. He's actually doing like security and stuff like that. Uh, it mentions that
Security, blackjack.
yeah. Um, it mentions that sometimes he would go away for a little while and then Little Pip would make a remark like, "Oh, I recognize those noises. That's his battle cell going off," and he would come back, with some supplies, and other times he wouldn't. So it's just a little bit of filler. Um, then they find the whole like pile of ghouls. Remember the ghouls? They find the pile of ghouls. So
Yep. And then
that
they got to be looting.
yeah, that happens. This is the part where I did like this part when Steel Hooves and Little Pip were about to have a conversation, and I like how the questions here, and this was like actually good dialogue, but but there's always a but here. It gets ruined because Calamity comes by and he starts asking questions, and I'm just like, bro, if only like you would have just let them talk. Because Steel Hooves asks Black, sorry, I was about to say Blackjack, but Steel
Rent free.
Hooves, Steel Hooves asks Little Pip a very important question, and he straight up asks her, like, "Are you a hero?" Because they're talking about how they view themselves and this and that, and then yeah, he asks just straight up, like, "Are you a hero?" And she was just about to answer that question. And I think that would have been really good to see like the way that she views herself and like all that kind of good stuff. But nope, it gets interrupted because another person has to ask a question, and they go ahead.
I swear the scenes between Calamity and I mean no fucking Steel Who's in Little Pip I feel like they're written by someone else.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I'm gonna have to wholeheartedly agree with you there because it feels like they're totally two different characters when they're having a dialogue between each other. And I understand now like why Steel Hoops and Little Pip are a lot of the people's favorite characters when they're having these moments because it's just the dialogue's just there. It's just good. You know, it feels like an actual conversation between two individuals that have had two totally different lives. You know, we have this battle hardened Steel Ranger and, you know, a soft yet adaptive mayor who is still trying to know,
Soft mayors.
yeah, you know, still trying to like figure things out and do this and do that. And she has this wisdom, you know, coming from the Steel Ranger. And I think it would have been cool had they met each other earlier or had more moments where they would talk and this and that, but it just doesn't really happen. And fast forward to um you know, Steel Hoops is very like, you know, interested on like why Little Pip is giving these ghouls like a proper burial. You know, she's not burying them. She basically puts them on a pyre and, you know, lights the bodies up on fire. And you know, Valor Remedy is just kind of like staring at the fire, but then Little Pip realizes like, oh no, it's not the fire she's staring at. She's staring at the phoenix that's above it. So
Oh boy, here we go again.
yeah, it's mentioned and then it goes away as fast as it's mentioned. But again, have a reference to Fallout 3, O'Reilly's Rangers, except they're for whatever reason they're replaced with Talon Company, which if anyone's ever played Fallout 3, Talon Company ain't the good guys. So I don't know why um they're
Hey, the good bad, they're the guys with the gun.
yeah, I know,
Because they'll
right?
still try and kill you if you're doing an evil route, so.
Yeah, they don't. So, but I mean, it puts you into question. But yeah, they find a body of a griffin and they're freaked out at first because they're like there's no wounds on the griffin, there's no blood or anything like that, so they're like whoa, what took him out. um and then Steel Hooves has this like pretty good line because they're like, oh well, we had to like tell, you know, Calamity that we're here and this and that, and like, oh well, Velvet's like, well, where's the ink pot at? And then Steel Who's like, we'll write it on the first, we'll write it with the first enemy's blood that we encounter. And I was like, oh, that's pretty badass.
That
So
is the best man. Just fucking boom, kicks the door open.
yeah, yeah, he just blows the
He's like,
door wide open.
just gets bored and starts killing shit.
Yeah. So like little Pip freaks out because she's like, "Why did you bust the door?" There's no enemies there, thankfully. But like soon enough, like they encounter the alicorns and action.
Oh, here it comes.
We have action
The
scenes.
funniest shit ever.
So go ahead and explain that. But action scenes occur.
All right,
Go.
so let me catch up on my notes here. But
Yeah.
yeah, they see the alicorn, and by sheer happenstance, it's when Little Pip is trying to levitate Steel Who's heavy ass across the gap, I guess, or something. And he gets fucking dropped like a rock into radiation, but I'm sure he'll be fine. But also, the floor, I guess, entire floor just melts. I guess that'll happen every 200 years. And the alicorn gets fucked up on. Man, these action scenes are so boring, it's hard to remember what happens. What happened to the alicorn before the funny?
So so the first one, and this is just like I think you're kind of right. It's just kind of bad writing here. She does like little to no situational awareness and tries to like for whatever reason like open her wings in an enclosed space. And again, for whatever reason, wow, I can barely speak here. She falls into the same pool that Steel Hooves like fell in as well. So I don't know how that happens. Like I don't know what type of force is required to like throw your own body in, but I just find the scene really funny because it literally just describes it as she tried to like, you know, be scary by showing a massive wingspan, but then she knocks herself over into the pool, so she's down.
That's what I was confused on, but okay, I guess he's just a fucking idiot. But anyway,
Yeah.
the alicorn the alicorn is about to fuck Pip up, and then for once, Velvet or Remedy does something and just walks up with the shotty and just blasts the alicorn in the neck.
Mm-hmm.
So points to Velvet. I will give her credit when she earns it. And
Yep.
then of course, Pip follows this up by getting like pieces of like the broken form, ripping the alicorn's fucking neck off. Which I mean, is in a few short chapters we went from, oh no, I don't want to kill anybody. It's so gross. I have to defend myself to fucking ripping enemies' heads off. But okay,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and it's not even like even Velvet doesn't go, holy shit, that was crazy. It's not even acknowledged that she just did that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then a sad thing happens, I think, in this chapter, and little Pip tries to do the same trick again with the memory orb from
Nah, you're skipping ahead. The alicorn fights are broken up a lot.
all I know is that
I,
within the building there's like 9 individual fights. So if I'm mixing them, you have to give me a little bit of leeway here because there's like
Well, that's
9
why I take
separate
my notes
fights.
as I'm listening to it. But
All
they
right.
go and Velvet starts healing up for everyone there. She does, and then she's trying to make Steel's drink rat away because he fell into a whole tank of radioactive shit. And he's like, "Nope, I don't need it." And then eventually, Little Pip has already figured out that he's a ghoul, so he just tells Velvet, and she doesn't really care that much, honestly. Good,
Yeah.
cool lore. I
Yeah.
couldn't for that to not be explored for like 20 chapters.
Mm-hmm. And then
And then more alicorn show up. I don't remember how many are in. I don't remember how many are in this fight, but it's like probably 3 or 4.
yeah, it's they fight in groups of 3. So in that room 3 of them got wasted, and then the next room another 3 got wasted.
I like how the alicorn got power scaled this hard because now they're just wiping out full teams, and then just one was like their biggest threat yet.
Yeah, the power creep is real. It really is. That's why I didn't really appreciate it overall having the alicorns take the place of super mutants, you know. I It would have been cool if there were a few of them and they were literally demigods, just like the actual princesses are gods. These alicorns are demigods. So this is a part of the review in which I say if we were to rewrite this stuff or if we want to like use it for our own stories here, if we're going to have alicorns, I suggest, right, as mentioned before, in the way back when, either have them be some type of shattered, image of Celestia or Luna or your equivalent of in your story, and I would make him as like a demigod. They are a protector. Maybe there's some type of morphed, they have morph values or type of characteristics of the princesses in which like it's not really them, but it's just like a shattered piece of them. If you ever played Warhammer 40K, best
Here we
example,
fucking go.
I know, but best example being Magnus the Red, literally shattered into 1,000 pieces, and that's why, he is very different every time you encounter a different shattered piece. I would use that for my story, in which I'm kind of playing with that idea anyways. But yeah, these.
Nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about. These are high distinguished gentlemen, not nerds that listen to this.
But yeah, like that's just how I would do it. I just don't like how they use that. If anything, I would have just had centaurs being the super mutants because again, in game, this is supposed to be like humanity's like next evolution, which was to be like super
Centaur's
mutants.
a different enemy type. Get it right.
Well, yeah, well, in Fallout 1 and 2, well, yeah, in Fallout 1 at least, because in 2 you kind of fight them, but then you don't. But in the first one at least, these are end game enemies. They're not willy-nilly peppered around like in the first what is it? Time we see them in the Capital Wasteland, or the first time.
Unless you're playing with luck one, then the game will spawn you in a random encounter with 3 death claws. The second you walk on the vault.
Yeah, it's just that's just stuff that you don't really encounter. And that's why when you're writing these stories, and we talked about it even on, you know, on our little like mini series of, so you want to write a story, you have to have rules in your story, or else it's going to get really confusing and people are going to notice this and, start poking holes in your story. If they're this powerful, right? Because we went from, as you said, being so scared of just encountering one alicorn to now wasting entire groups of them. What made them get all strong all of a sudden, or what made them get very weak, and this and that. And it creates a lot of issues. So this is the sad part. Moving on to the actual, going back to the story. Remember how she tries to do that trick, and now we kind of know what, if we're kind of like connecting the dots with the alicorns here. She tries to use a trick again, against the alicorn with using the memory orb and trying to distract her. Because, like, again, if anyone that has magic unicorn or alicorn tries to use the memory orb, they basically get like put into a trance. And the alicorn this time doesn't fall for it. She dodges it and then starts mocking little Pip, like, "Oh, you already used that trick on us before." So
And it barely questions this.
yeah, she barely questions it and is like, "Oh, how would they know?" But as a reader, I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! Like, what's going on here?" And it adds some questions. And again, if this story was coming out back then and there was reviews going on, like, this would, probably be a bit more interesting because, not a lot of people know what's going on. A lot of people are reading together. I would ask that question, like, why do they know that? Are they telepathic? Is there like a colony slash hive of them? Maybe they have a hive mind. It opens those doors. I mean, me and you know why, but early on, when I was first listening to the story, I'm like, whoa, like, how would they know? And I had no knowledge of prior Fallout games. I only knew about New Vegas and Fallout 3 at the time. So I didn't know anything about Fallout 1 and Fallout
Back
2.
before you were cultured.
Yeah, and I will say it, and I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it,
I
but
don't know what it's gonna say, but I'm scared.
the Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, I think, are way better than what we have now. Even New Vegas isn't that great.
Nah. 2 is bad.
I
Too
thought
many
you liked
popcorn
2.
references.
Oh,
No.
okay. Well, if you put that to the side, because I agree with that too.
Nah, it's like half the game's rating.
Well, I will say this. Um, Fallout Frontier and Fallout 2 are very similar in that regard. You want to know why?
All right, you're comparing apples to oranges, sure.
No, I'm not. Um, it was later discussed that Fallout 2 was written with separate groups of creators of the game. They hardly came together unless it was the main quest to talk to other people about the game. So the main quest is all, this one line, right? They all were on the same page for the main quest. However, the reason why so many different areas are so different, New Reno, the ghost town, um, and all these other locations are so different, is because those writers were not communicating with each other at all. They were
That's
on
why the game is bad.
yeah, because they weren't having communication. And it's the same thing with Frontier, because we all know what happened in Frontier. The
They
NCR.
blame the Philly Fiddler. I'll still never forget.
That is
They
true.
throw him under the bus and
Th-
backed over on him after.
That is true. I mean, he is also a dirty freaking furry. But the reason why they
Most of
also
them
did,
were.
well, yeah. But the only reason why the story was just so poor was because the writers were just not on the same page. They were all in separate groups. So it was very ironic that even in real life, the developers of this mod were in separate factions. So you had the Brotherhood of Steel faction, you had Caesar's Legion faction, and you had the NCR. They did not communicate whatsoever with each other. That's why the NCR quest is so bloated and so like not Fallout compared to like the other two campaigns, because at least the other two campaigns were more like trying to gear themselves towards New Vegas rather than like whatever the hell NCR and Exiles were. I'm just gonna say this too, and I know it's gonna be a controversial opinion. Can we stop glazing the courier? Like, why is it that every single time I go like into a Fallout New Vegas like video or whatever, it's like they just get worshipped like they can do no wrong.
We love the Korea.
I just don't really care for it.
All right, this guy's bad opinions aside. Uh,
So
they
yeah.
the funny alicorn that dodged the same trick. She who just uses her magic to like grab Little Pip's heart and make it stop beating, which is a very funny move. And I don't know if I brought this up before, but why the fuck would you not use that on like every enemy you ever seen?
True. True. Yeah.
That should be like your opening move. You
Hmm.
just kill them in seconds.
But no, 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 Afterglow. We have to monologue and have the funny villain moment of like, haha, I beat you. Now I'm gonna explain my plan.
Oh, that's not even the dumbass thing she does too, because you have to run this by me, because I might just be wrong. It can't be this retarded, right? The Alicorn teleports so close to them that they are inside her shield. Like, I must have missed something here. What
Nope.
was her goal?
She was trying to act all superior.
All right, but you can do that while still being inside your shield by yourself.
Okay, well, the same thing could be said about Dio versus Jotaro.
All right, well, you're just comparing it to that because it's like the same thing. And I don't know if they actually did steal that from JoJo, because I'm sure the manga for Part 2 was out by the time this is being written.
Oh no, the manga was already done, dude. The manga was done
That's
back
what
in the
I mean,
90s.
that's the end of the manga, so it had to have been done. But
Uh-huh.
I don't know if they directly stole that, but it wouldn't be the first time a Flawed Crusher fanfic is stolen from JoJo.
True. It's like Dio literally could have just killed Jotaro right then and there. But no, again, I'm gonna be the villain and I'm gonna like gloat and do this and that instead of like, doing this one final
Right,
thing.
but that's in Dio's character, at least.
True. So yeah,
Yeah.
she
Oh,
gloats.
yeah. Even Dio wouldn't be dumb enough to just waltz right up to an opponent and lower his defenses.
Well, we do if we're gonna have this little sidetrack here. You remember the part where he's like, "Hold on a minute, I think I hear his heartbeat." He tries to like, he literally gets so close to him where he goes to the floor first and he puts his ear on the ground and he's like, "Huh, it must have been my imagination." And then he's like, "No, he moved," and like he just has like this schizo moment for like a good 5 minutes. It's just so hilarious. Like I get it. It's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but it's just oh my god. Sometimes these parts are just so like over the top, and I think that's what I felt on this part. Like I can't take I cannot take this story seriously sometimes, and these are just one of those moments.
That's not even the funniest ability the Alicorns use. I still remember that one that happens later with Velvet and Pip.
Oh yeah, but we'll get to that when we
That's
get
it.
to that.
I don't remember how late that is, but that's also a move that you could definitely use, like at any time.
Hmm.
But yeah, they just drop a fucking bunch of grenades in the shield, and she fucking explodes. But not only that, but when she looks down at her feet to look at the grenades, that's crazy. You're doing so well, Kit Kat. It's been a while, but you did it again.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get another incorrect anatomy in the next chapter. It's very on the nose, but for this one, yeah, you're right. The sad part about it is that she lost the memory orb of Pinkie Pie's final party. So there's a little sad moment there. And then they find the Talon Company. They talk to them. They're like, "Oh, well, why are
They
you
kill the
get?"
Alicorns, hold them captive.
Yeah, that was
Which, if anyone's counting, it's 9 now that they've killed. Oh, it's a lot of fucking hell.
yeah,
Getting late.
yeah. There's an entire group of 9 of them. There was reinforcements coming because Uh,
Well, 9 total. Like in each fight all combined, it was 9.
yeah, and
And
then
then there's even more. And I'm also confused on what happens to these last alicorns.
so I'm glad that before we get to that, I'm actually glad that for once they explain why they were there to look for what. And it said right then and there, we were here to get this black book. It has dark magic, specifically necromancy, and for whatever reason, the alicorns, right? And they even say it, right? Talon Company, could correct me if I'm wrong. Talon Company goes ahead and says like who's in charge of them, right? They name drop. Am I right or am I going schizo?
I don't think that happens. I think that would be in my notes. Jeez.
Okay, well they don't name drop, but they do say like, oh, whoever sent them is looking for this book. So in my mind, because the chapter's already almost done, we only have like maybe like three major parts left, and then we can move on to the next one. Um, why did out of the whole time that they could have gotten this book for 200 plus years? Why is it all of a sudden now this individual's interested in that black book? Like, what do you think? Is it just for the sake of the
All
plot?
I, all I hope is that Black Book doesn't lead to character assassination for any.
Yeah, me too. So I enjoy the fact that it like for once it wasn't like, oh, this MacGuffin that we got sent to get, and the end all be all if we don't get it. Um so yeah, Little Pip's like, okay, yeah, we'll help you find it. Even though if I was Little Pip, I'd be like, well, why do you want the book? You know? But they don't explain
Well,
why.
they were hired by someone that wanted. They probably don't ask questions. They
Probably.
just get paid.
True. But even as a mercenary, I would ask certain questions. But I mean, yeah. So,
But their
um,
code, man.
yeah, the last part that happens is that they have a flight chase, and somehow little Pip is able to carry Steel Hooves this entire time, teleporting him. The Talons are flying; they're being chased by the Alicorns, and just it just creates this weird scene of them getting chased around. I don't know how little Pip is able to carry Steel Hooves this entire time. The other thing too is that she's like, "Oh, I need to pop a Mintat." In order to get us out of the situation. So she does the funny,
No,
and
she did that earlier.
I thought she did another
She
one.
was no, I mean she might have, but she did one because you found all safe at some
Mm,
point in that building, and she was like, "Hey, it's too hard. I got to get high."
true. So she
But
gets this
I don't
idea.
remember what's in that safe.
She gets an orb because that's on the next
Uh,
chapter. They finally explain what happens. They find an orb in there, and they find like other little goodies. But the main thing they got was the orb. But yeah, um, chase, fight, bam, bam, kaboom, bing, bing, wahoo, and for
Big
some,
ouchie.
the big ouchie, yeah,
Captain,
they,
we too low.
yeah, we're too low, we're too low. Hey, watch your jet, watch your jet. Basically that happens, and they come out practically unscathed. Um,
Well, that's how
yeah,
a chapter ends. The chapter ends when they eat shit.
yeah.
Classic.
They crash into a parking garage. Like they manage to escape the parking garage as it blows up because the alicorns shot magic and they hit the vehicles in there. And if you know anything about the vehicles, is that they have like magical sparks that basically create little energy blasts that are comparable to like mini nukes. So yeah, big kaboom.
Big ouchie. They die.
And just like that, they took out like 12 alicorns.
In one afternoon.
hmm And yep, you're right. The chapter ends like that. That was chapter 18, and the ability in which she gets the perk rather is. Let me just scroll up a little bit because while we were reading, I was reading some of the comments there. Yes.
Oh, you need to start reading the Project Horizons comment where the author actually just gets pissed off at people.
So yeah, right here. Footnote: level up. New perk, Mighty Telekinesis, level 3. Your telekinesis is Twilight Sparkle tier. You can handle multiple objects with ease. With enough focus, you can probably carry around an Ursa Minor.
Well,
So
that's crazy. But wait, they call it footnotes instead of hoof notes? That means there's a one in every single chapter.
there's technically one. There's technically one incorrect anatomy count each time. But
Yeah, that's gonna change the ranking.
yup. But besides that, the comment section, of course, is just again speculation. Back in 2013, a lot of these comments were written in 2013. It looks like there was a mod here deleting comments because the only thing I can read from them was that they just say, and I quote, "I deleted them because they weren't supposed to be here. It should have been on PM. Sorry about that." And
Fanfic Janny's hard at work, even back then.
yep, so that's that.
Deleting history.
Yeah. So, what do you think about it? I know I did most of the yapping, but what do you think about this chapter? How did it play out compared to the last couple ones?
The alicorn killing is ridiculous, but the good steel ooze content and the Velvet actually fucking doing something in a fight, I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I'm gonna say like a 6.5 to 7 out of 10.
It's
And
a lot of mid with some good moments.
yeah, yeah, it's a solid. It would be a solid episode had that animation would have been done. I think it would have been visually well received. Dialogue maybe would have been lacking. But that's it. That's it. That's it. That's pretty much it. It's a solid chapter. Definitely picking up a little bit, but now we're gonna have a little bit of a slow chapter with the middle of a nothing, and then it gets good again at the end. So chapter,
Good, quote unquote.
yeah, good quote unquote. Chapter 19, betrayal.
A
So
big one.
yeah, the big Kahuna. So yeah. This is a bit of a longer one, but I want to read out this important part because this is like the beginning of the chapter. And I quote, "Tell me that my friends are all lying to me and avoiding me because they don't like my parties and they don't want to be my friends anymore." So that's a line from Pinkie Pie. We're gonna get on to the actual thing right
If
here.
we're gonna start talking about the quotes on the start of the chapters, I want to say it's weird that like half of them are actual quotes from the show itself, and then like the rest are just random bullshit that no one says ever.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
no. Yeah, no, no, no. Like I said before, like I only had a few of the quotes, but definitely starting on the next couple of chapters, I'm gonna try to include a few. I'm gonna try to include a few more, just like I said before, just to add some more weight and some more context on like why I view some of these chapters a bit more higher compared to other ones. So, addiction. How do you know when you're trapped? When you want something more than anything else? When you find yourself lying to your friends and hiding things from them because you don't want them to know? When you can't go a week without indulging a day? Or simply when you insisted that because none of the above really applied to you, you were fine? So, that was like just out of the
relatable.
blue.
I know good writing out of nowhere, but so relatable because I am addicted to bears. I struggle with it every
Whoa.
day.
Whoa. If you can't notice right now, I'm like pog facing. But yeah, that's just kind of like smack right in the middle. Um, I can only just assume that the moment right there was just like an internal dialogue with little Pip, and that maybe she just woke up from after they just crash landed. But I can only assume because it doesn't really just say that right off the bat. And
Yeah, this chapter has some crazy strong views about addiction. So I don't know
yeah,
if K Cat knew someone that's addicted to drugs at some point or what.
yeah. I mean, and again, like if it's written well, like it'll have some weight. But if it's just tossed around willy nilly for the sake of the plot, then it's like, whatever. So they wake up, everyone's injured, and again, these are one of those rare moments in which I appreciate Valoremi's character. She's, she has a really deep laceration on her forehead, and instead of like taking care of that first, which I mean, I probably would because it would like, you know, mess up my vision if I had like blood running down my face, especially on my forehead. There's a possibility of it going into my eyes, so that's going to create problems. Um, I would go ahead and say like, yeah, I appreciate the fact that like she starts checking on everybody before she takes care of herself, making sure that like everyone gets the proper care. Really like that. And one of the Griffins is injured, broken wing, and everyone else is still again like just kind of all bruised and all that. And then it's the very funny like anime trope of, oh, I feel okay, I feel all right, and then looks down, oh, there's rebar sticking out of somewhere where it shouldn't be. So this happens to little Pip. She has a piece of rebar that's coming out of her forearm, and you know,
Four leg, you goof ass.
isn't it forearm in the front? Forearm or
Four
four?
leg,
Okay, so
because it's a horse.
foreleg. Okay, then hind leg. You're right. So foreleg, right? So she has a piece of rebar coming out of her foreleg, and
Damn, this
again,
guy really is KK. I knew what on.
yeah, no, it's funny moment of that. It's like, oh my god, oh wow, ooh, that's crazy. Um, yeah, so it's just like that moment happens, and from there, um, little Pip is like, yeah, you can't just drink like a healing potion. You can't just do that, because if you do any like healing stuff while you know you have any objects, foreign objects, good or bad, they get stuck in your body. You know, so that's pretty cool. I like that. I like how it just doesn't, oh, we're just gonna, drink all the healing potions, everything bad's gonna go away. Uh, so to numb the pain, dull the pain, or just simply forget, Little Pip actually does something pretty smart, and she uses a memory orb. This memory orb was found in the safe that they.
Hold on.
What?
You gotta let me do the memory arc because, as far as I can tell, I think I've covered every single memory arc. So I break the stream.
Sure. I wrote some notes about it too, so if you forget anything, I'll get it.
Well, for one, off the bat, this one fixes the issue I had with the last memory orb, where it was how I said it should have just been someone watching a camera and footage instead of actually being the camera's memory. Because this time it's this dude, and it's the first time Little Pip is actually been in a guy. So of course she has to reference the fact that he has a cock and balls, as he do, and it's him spying on people on terminals on the calls, and we get to hear some actual characterization for the CMC. Oh boy, this is actually a pretty lore dump heavy call here, because it's Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom, and Apple Bloom saying that an accident happened at Applejack,
Mm.
and it might have not been an accident, and this won't matter for a while. Once again, setting so much things up in one chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And also Rarity is with Fluttershy, because Dash called Fluttershy a traitor. And we also won't know what that is from for a while.
Yeah.
And I think that's a while for that one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't go into specifics, but base Dash is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out that whoever the hell, I don't know if we ever find out who this guy is spying for, but we find out that if he gets an unimportant call, they have to get their memories ripped out, which at least gives a reason for once for why this memory warp exists.
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss anything?
Um, no, not really. I mean, I just found it interesting where they are spying within their own like allies, government, all that good stuff. You
I
know,
mean,
y-
one of the ministry's job was literally to do that. So if I had to guess, he's probably working for the morale.
yeah. I mean, it's bad when like your own group is spying on you. Like it's really bad when your own group is spying on you. And the other thing I would say, um, what is it? The other thing I would say is it was really weird that uh the worker was like, what was it?
I think they're called hosts in memory orb.
No, he was like whacking it off at work.
Is that what that was? Oh
Yeah.
wait,
Yeah, because she mentions it. She's like, "Oh, I'm just oh, I guess I'm a mare or something, and I have an itch in my ear and something else." And then she literally stops. Oh wait, what is that? And then looks down and then notices, ooh, woo. And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! What are you doing at work? What are you doing
I
at
think
work?"
I think they were. She said he had an itch in it, itch in her mane, and also her like dick. So I thought it meant his dick was he was scratching his dick, not that he was jerking off.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I guess, man, maybe I wasn't paying that much close attention.
yeah, yeah. No,
But
it's
hey,
just
man, we've all been there.
yeah, no, it's just
I too jerk off to listening to distressed ponies discussing how their family member was almost killed.
yeah. Yeah, no, it was just like weird, and yeah, they have like that moment, and everybody is just like, you know, confused, and even the person that was in the memory was like, "Oh man, I hate the fact that I'm gonna get this memory extracted," because like they get called in. I guess they didn't want them to know that they had information about some of the main six as well as like the CMC and all that stuff was going on, and
Well,
again,
your crack out there where you didn't want them to know he was jerking off at work.
yeah, that too. I mean, that was wild. That was
That's
freaking.
gonna be awkward when your
Oh yeah.
superior sees that memory.
Oh yeah. Like I've heard of a combat jack in the military, but I've never like heard of any other people doing that at work. So it's just weird. But yeah, we go off, some little talks happen here and there, and then Watcher, our good pal
And you miss Steel
Watcher.
Hooves.
What do you mean?
Well, Steel Hooves talks to Blackwing, then, if I remember right, is the leader of that specific talent company. The ones they
Oh.
saved, and they start talking about how there's this there's for some reason that only the Griffins know about. There's just like this tunnel near a temple. Only it has a bunch of fucking ghouls in there, and it could just be opened at any time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Littlefinger like, oh, that's kind of fucking weird. He's asking about that.
Mm-hmm.
So she starts getting sussy then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and you missed the part where the Griffins try to give her a unique weapon as a reward for saving her, but then she just says, "Fuck that! I don't want. We don't need another big gun. Just owe me a favor."
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Watcher shows up.
Yeah. So like that happens, and then Watcher. How long has it been since we've seen that guy? We're,
Chapters. I mean,
yeah,
but it's explained. Yeah,
yeah. Well, like he's the
I actually
whole.
read like this Watcher conversation is pretty funny.
Go ahead and explain it because I like the ending more than I like this setup. So go ahead.
Oh, I like the end. But in the end, Watcher's like, yo, what the fuck are you guys doing? Yeah, he's like, everything's on TV. Like, let's get out of here, right?
Yeah, they just have a little
Well, is it?
monologue and this and that about like, oh, what I want out of you and this and that, and he's like, oh, little Pip's like, well, what do you want? And he wants what is it? The
The
what's it?
black opal.
Mm-hmm. When he's like, oh, what's that? And he's like, well, it extracts memories. And for whatever reason, again, to probably create conflict, Homage has one. So little Pip has a little bit of a conundrum. Is she gonna steal from her new mare friend? Question mark. Or is she going to like tell this rando that really isn't around as much anymore, but still kind of has a little bit of weight in the conversation, uh, to buzz off, So that.
Yeah, I don't know how Little Pip is going to be bitch to which Watcher real conversation.
Mhm. Yeah, no, she should have aired out her grievances because she does make some very good points, and I'll agree. You know, because once two big things happen, right? In her mind, she's like, "Oh, so now I kind of know who you are as a person or as an individual." I don't know why I said person, but like as an individual, you demand favors for actions. So don't be with those types of people because that just will not end well. And then the other thing I was gonna say, she straight up like calls him out and like, "Wait, you're here longer than usual. And how come every time I want something to be explained or I have a very important question that needs to be addressed, you just disappear and without any like um fair warning, the sprite bot buzzes and goes back to playing the stupid music.
Honestly, best watcher moment so far.
Yeah,
What did get you?
but it's like he doesn't have any leverage at all. Like she could have just said no, you know? And like I guess too, like she asked him for a favor as well, and she could have just done it herself and just sent those griffins to Godina. But I don't know why. They just again, I guess poor writing or whatever, or they just for the sake of the plot. So yeah, that happens. Steel Hooves explains some of the companies that were around Equestria pre-war, and it was the Mayor Works and Firearms stuff, um, Iron Shot, 4 Stars, Equestria Robotech, and
You mean
robotics
Iron
rather.
Shad?
Yeah, sorry, robotics, and then finally Stable Tech, and then Little Pip puts two and two together and realizes that 4 Stars is one of like the traitors. They were the ones that assisted the zebras into letting the WMD, the what is it? Yeah, um, MWMs, whatever they call them, mass weapons destruction into Manhattan. So,
It's the Ministry of Wartime Technologies.
my bad. I'm kind of running out of fuel here. We've been
And
talking for
then,
a
or
while.
alternatively, the Ministry of Technology, if you want to Applejacks with.
All right, the Ministry of Autism. Got it.
That's Dash's.
No, she's the Ministry of ADD.
The Ministry of sitting on their ass.
Yeah, they don't do anything. Well, they do stuff,
That one
but
thing.
yeah, they do something, but we won't know until literally the last couple of chapters. So, haha, funny.
What about the SBP?
Yeah. So, this is the part where it's just a bunch of nonsense that happens. I believe our friend Monterey Jack gets executed.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! You were jumping so far ahead.
Well, I told you this is the part where I kind of checked out because
All right, I got you. Don't worry.
well, he does get executed in this chapter.
Yeah, but not for a while.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'll be very happy to talk about that.
Yeah, go ahead. Please take the ball here because I don't really have notes for this at all besides what I just mentioned.
Bro, I didn't even take notes. I was half paying attention and I still took notes. Damn, he really tapped out like me when I did last couple chapters. But yeah, they of course they find the Balefire Phoenix from before by sheer happenstance being attacked by Bloodwings. Whatever the fuck those are. I'm not even sure if they described like what they're mutated from. Because like every other mutation is something that was actually in the show, so who knows what the fuck. But they fuck it up. They save the Balefire Phoenix. I don't care. But then the very funny conversation happens where Pip's like, just out of nowhere, even though she never mentions before, is like, okay, guys, don't forget, we gotta save Monterey Jack. He's gonna fucking die tonight. And everyone just stops and there's like, huh? And literally every single one of them disagrees with it, which is so based. Yeah, it's even Velvet, which is kind of seems out of character for her not to support this, but whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, you still don't remember anything else? Because the funny is coming up.
That's pretty much it. I didn't really care much for it. That I didn't really write anything there. I wrote the company stuff.
Why you weren't even glad that everyone agreed Monterey Jack should die?
I am indifferent towards that because again, I'm just in disbelief that he self-reported himself. Like there was no need to self-report. There was legitimately no need for that. So I've just anytime they talk about this, and I know there's probably going to be like maybe another couple instances where they talk about it, but I just kind of don't care. It's just dumb.
That's how I feel about most of this story, but
Yeah. So,
but yeah, they get back to the rooms, which who's paying for these? Was that ever explained? Because surely it's expensive. I don't remember.
I think it's mentioned in passing that DJ Pone 3 is.
Damn, bro, she's already being a pay pig for a little bit. That's crazy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that makes that relationship even a little weirder. But that aside, they go back to their rooms, and Pip makes a little dart gun so she can break in there and save Monterey. But of course, Velvet does the very funny and just blasts her with a dart gun and paralyzes her. And this does not go in nearly as sexy as a direction as I would hope. Because she takes her to the clinic to get her forcibly make the drugs get flushed out of her system. Which I don't know about you, but the entire story, this is my most hated Velvet Remedy moment. And it's so early. So at least you can't get worse.
Well, I mean, kidnapping your friend is not a good look. Not to say that like the addiction isn't. There could be worse things a little Pip could be addicted to. I will say that. So yeah, I didn't like that either all that much. I think there could have been better ways of doing it, but
Like, actually talking to her.
yeah, instead of just
Like, this could have been more justified if Velvet tried to talk to her about envelope and just said no. At least in there to be some justification.
mm-hmm.
Oh no, we don't even get that.
Yeah,
Let's go straight for the nuclear option.
yeah, yeah, and that's just kind of interesting because um we keep having these moments where Velvet kind of gets better and does this and does that. Always, and it's very ironic for her character that she has a very good speech and like charisma build. Yet anytime she tries to deal with these types of problems, especially when it comes to little Pip, she like uses force against her, which I would understand if little Pip was a character that uses force to address every situation and problem, because again, those types of individuals only understand force. But from a lot of her interactions and stuff like that, she's more of a sneak first, then try to talk out of it, and then uses force as like the last ditch, effort on things. Compared to Blackjack, at least from my understanding from the 20 or so chapters that I read, and you can probably correct me if I'm wrong here, but does Blackjack try diplomacy first before it like just goes in guns blazing?
And not, sir. If it's red, it's dead.
Okay. So if it's red, it's dead. If it's yellow,
Yeah,
mellow.
only if that's funny.
Yeah. But I'm saying like in other what is it? She doesn't sneak around as much as like let's say Little Pip, right? Because she's
She's not very sneaky. The clap of her flanks are too wild.
oh my god. Okay. So yeah. So yeah, I just find that very interesting. And I guess just don't really appreciate that from
All
Velvet
right,
Remedy.
so if you were in this situation, like in the apocalypse, and one of your friends did this, is there any situation where they're not immediately getting kicked out the parties?
Which friend? Little Pip or Velvet Remedy?
No, like though, if you were Little Pip in the situation.
Um there'd be a confrontation for sure. I want to know if kicking them
Are
out.
there?
I want to know if kicking. Well,
Yeah, because you're gonna trust someone to keep you alive that would be willing to do that to you. All right, bud, you're dead.
I mean,
I mean, not just this one. Like I'm talking about Velvet as a whole. Velvet is a liability the entire
yeah,
time.
I would definitely have that on the table. I'm like, if you don't want to be in this group anymore, you can leave. And if anyone else agrees with her, they can also leave too. Because,
You could just put it to a vote.
well,
I mean, Calamity would be simping. I think Steelers would probably abstain.
the problem is, here, the problem Velvet's the medic, so I mean that's very important in this type of situations. But the other thing too that would upset me is the fact that um, well, what was I trying to say here? She disagrees with Little Pip a lot in like very bad situations, like there's just moments where they're like in a combat situation or something, and she just like always tries to argue with Little Pip about stuff. And I'm not gonna say I've been in combat before, but all I know is that if you ever have people arguing a lot in those types of combat situations, really bad things can happen and get people hurt or worse. So, that's a liability. The other thing is, having someone else just constantly undermine you, even though you're the quote unquote leader and you were like kind of put in that position, yet she's always questioning this, questioning that, would also be like very bad. So, I mean, judging that and probably a couple other things that I can bring up, yeah, I probably would just tell her, I'm like, if you don't really like how the things are being run here, you can go, you can leave.
I mean, I don't think Velvet would last a day on her own.
Yeah, well,
But the most unrealistic part of this entire story is at the beginning when Velvet's on her own. She's not dead within like 20 minutes.
hmm well, she got lucky. She found the slaver group wounded. She just managed to like get brought in by them. Surprised they didn't just sell her right off the bat, but again, she's a doctor. Well, not doctor, but she's a medic slash healer, so she would be very important. But if she wasn't that, I'm pretty sure they would have just sold her into slavery. Probably would have been a more interesting story like that, trying to find out what happened to her.
Maybe Velvet needs to be in slavery for a bit. Maybe she'll learn something.
Nah, but going back to it, I mean, it would be interesting if they had like a fight like that. If she got left behind with a different group and they did things differently and this and that, like it would be interesting. Granted, this is the wasteland, and yes, bartering and speech and charisma does matter to a certain extent, but there's a reason why like there's so many mercenaries around and there's so many individuals that blast first, ask questions later. So you're right. She probably wouldn't really last that long unless she had a little entourage with her.
Ugh. But anyway, how much Velvet? I hate Velvet. But then Little Pip and the Doctor have a very, very boring conversation that I definitely didn't almost fall asleep listening to. But I'm
hmm
sure it was very important. All I remember is that drugs are bad. Who would have thought?
Yeah, that's kind of the
And
main idea I got out of it too.
but then Little Pip finds out that she slept through the execution for Monterey. And may he rest in peace.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how it just gets like brushed over. Like she wakes up and like, oh my god, like I had to save him, and then it just like gets kind of just dropped. Like, oh, he's already gone, and then it's just like I think it's just mentioned like, oh, he's just like a silhouette in like the background or some weird crap. And I don't know if they were trying to be poetic or whatever, but it was just kind of weird how it was described. So they hang him. Um, weird.
I
Uh,
sure hope it didn't break his neck. I hope he died slow.
yeah, he got hung in the gallows, so not that great. And then there was this pony who like sits and discusses like things with little Pip and expenses this, expenses that, and don't know what the whole point of this conversation was because at the end of it, um, she keeps some money, but has to give some money to his Philly cult, which she leaves some money behind so they can live in ten pony for a while more longer. So kind of like raises the question, well, what happens when they run out of money? Um, and I think
What are you talking about?
the character that sits down with her and has to like explain the expenses, like he literally sits down with her and says like, oh yeah, yes, you're gonna have to pay for the rope we hung Monterey Jack on. You remember that guy?
I don't remember this at all. No.
You probably have to reread that part. Like they literally go over the expenses. They talk about the cheese shop and like he's like, "Oh yeah, like you and
That doesn't happen yet. There's no way I missed all that. Because I remember what you're talking about. And I don't think it happened yet.
I thought it happened in this chapter."
You're getting mixed up again, I'm fairly certain.
Well, the only thing I remember is probably the other funny that happens at the end, but I don't know if there's still anything before the big funny at the end where Still Hooves closes the door and just does a laugh.
He doesn't do a laugh,
Well,
but you made it sound like a villain. He does a laugh.
well, no, I mean, I would do like a different expression, but you wouldn't be able to like hear me through the mic. I would have like he would have like he did a little funny where he closes the door and does na 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 as the other person's like bangs on the door. Michael, Michael, no, don't leave me.
No, that doesn't happen yet because you missed the whole argument between Velvet and Pip. All right, well, you're crazy, then. But he fucking the little Pip and Velvet finally had their big argument, and they don't really come to a resolution.
Mhm.
So I guess we'll be dealing with that for a while. And I'm sure she won't just forgive her because she's an idiot.
Yeah, she's kind of stacked on a lot of bad things. So just surprised that she's tolerating her so far.
I mean, she just said she wants to beat her up a couple times. I wish she actually did. But Calamity comes in and he finally says the thing I've been saying this whole time, that he knows he's the one who first gave her mentals. It's all right. At least he acknowledges it. Go and you claim.
Mm.
And Pip forgives him.
Hmm.
They try to like imply some little retcons that like, oh, he was feeling bad this whole time, and I'm pretty sure Kit Kat just did what thinking about that part until now.
Oh yeah.
But then that's when the funny happens with Steel Hughes.
Yeah.
They have a little chat, and he's like, oh no, I'm actually not really a good pony.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what makes him so based. Bro is truly running the neutral karma run. But yeah, then little Pip chases after him because she thinks he's about to open the door with all the ghouls in it that are still there for some reason.
Yep.
And then this guy gets trapped in there because she thought he just closed it, but no, she actually locked the dude in there. And I don't remember who it was. Was the mayor, the chief, someone?
It was the sheriff.
Oh yeah, that's right, the sheriff. I don't know. Did those two even interact before this? Why did he do that to him specifically?
So if we remember, this was the sheriff that ordered the ghouls to be executed. So if you remember, the Talons explained like their side of the story, which was like, oh no, we didn't. We just executed the bad ghouls, the ones that wanted to like open the sewer entrance to let all the zombies in and like basically rip and tear all of the 10 pony um all the 10 pony um residents. But the sheriff didn't like stop there. Like he just started slaughtering the rest of the ghouls that had like nothing to do with it. It was just normal ghouls that were just there. So that's when Steel Hooves.
Oh, well, then they steal you.
Yeah, so Steel Hooves basically like that's why he asked those questions towards Little Pip, and then later on he asked those questions to the talent company, and he basically connected the dots and just realized like, yeah, this guy's a real piece of
Bro's
work.
gotta go.
Yeah, bro's got to go. So the sheriff, he locks the door behind him, and that's when we have that moment. Insert Five Nights at Freddy's reference. Michael, don't leave me in here, Michael, Michael. So yeah, he gets nom nommed, and it was pretty violent. It's just kind of like a sentence or two, but I just kind of imagine he got torn limb from limb because what is it? There's like a little peephole, I guess. It's as big as like, let's say you put your like an index card, right? It's as big as an index card. And she looks through it and sees the sheriff like all bloodied, and like his like nose is kind of like torn. So something obviously bit him, and he's like banging on the door like, like frightened and scared, and Little Pip's like, what the fuck? And then that's when she sees like a bunch of like ghouls like jump on him, and you put two and two together. Yeah, they had a little nom nom. That's it. That's all it ends.
Hey, where's the incorrect anatomy? Because I missed it. You said there was one in this chapter.
There's one in this chapter because if oh man, I forgot to mention it because I really like that line about watch your explaining, you know he's wanting a favor for an action and et cetera, et cetera. So I kind of forgot about it. Uh, the incorrect anatomy is rather she mentions to him, "Oh, so we're only saving certain people," rather than saying, "Oh, so we're only saving certain ponies. Oh, we're only saving certain like creatures or whatever." So she straight up just says people, and I count that as an incorrect anatomy because she says people.
That's
Who,
crazy.
whoever says people in the show, I don't think anyone says people.
That's
So
crazy.
I don't know if you count it, but I
I
count it.
don't count
No, yes or no?
it. Sure.
Okay, so there's one. Did you count anyone else?
Nope. Except for the footnote. That
Mm,
still counts.
yeah.
And she gets the poke that's only broken in Fallout 3, so good thing he's playing Fallout 3.
Yeah, this story is loosely like this chapter. My bad. This chapter is loosely based off of like those multiple chapters in Fallout 3 and those quests and stuff like that. And yeah, um, yeah, his name was Chief Grimstar, and he's loosely based off of like the chief of security in Fallout 3. Um, this doesn't happen in the game. Would have been cool though, but it doesn't. He just gets shut up. But yeah, it says right there at the end, going back to what we said, my thoughts were interrupted by a thud. Chief Grimstar's face appeared on the one side of the window. Flesh had been torn from the side of his head. I could see him staring in with desperation and horror, pounding on the other side of the door. Then the zombies fell upon him once again, pulling him away from the window as they tore him to pieces, eating him alive.
Ah, what a way to go.
What a way to go. So, yeah.
Deserved. We
So,
here are ghoul sympathizers.
well, it's just funny because, like you said, like she freaked out thinking that Steel Hooves was gonna like open it, but he even says like, "Did you really think I let in the zombie ponies that I'd allow all the innocent ponies in Ten Pony Tower to perish? You really don't know me at all, do you?" So, like, even though she thinks that he's a good guy and this and that, he still wasted that dude.
Yeah, we love our morally gray characters.
Yeah. Footnote, level up. New perk, Reaper Ponies Gallop. If you waste a target while using sats, 25 of your AP um, is restored after dropping a spell. This will usually refresh your targeting spell enough to use it again immediately for at least one more attack. So I think,
Yeah, broken ass perk.
yeah, I think that perk was like broken in Fallout 3, but then in New Vegas it was like completely useless.
Hey, it's not as useless as in Shining Armor.
True. So, what'd you think about this chapter? I give it a strong like 5.5 to 6 because it's just a whole lot of nothing in the middle.
I give it 7 just for that Steel Hooves ending.
Really, really.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I'm not much of a Steel Hooves simp.
Mm,
Hey, he actually have to do something these 2 chapters. I'm so happy.
true. Out of everybody in this chapter that actually has like positive development in the sense of like I can see them doing that, I think he's the only one that falls into that category. Velvet Remedy doing that to Little Pip once again pisses me off. Calamity didn't have much to do in this chapter. He's just kind of there for the ride. And Little Pip is just being Little Pip, confused and abused.
Confused and abused.
That's the way I
That would have
see
been a
it.
good chapter title.
And maybe it is one for one later on for me. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I don't know if you have any other final thoughts on these 2 chapters.
Nah, I wish they were less boring sometimes.
True. I felt like even though this was a longer recording session, not much really was said. So, really appreciate the fact that you guys are still listening to this. This is our.
You just admit to wasting our audience's time. That's crazy.
I didn't say that. What did I say?
You said nothing was said.
Well, okay. Let me rephrase that. So I'm just glad that these chapters actually have forward progression. I will say that compared to the other chapters that we've done in the past, that there is actually forward progression. Some of the characters are being developed a little bit better than they were in previous chapters. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that. I mean, there's really nothing crazy to like write home about.
That's crazy.
Okay. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Any last remarks? Any last words?
There's only one thing left to say.
And what
Mares.
is that? Oh, I ruined it. Do it over.
It's over. There's only one thing left to say. Mares.
Thank you. You said it properly.
Yeah, fix it in post.
But as per usual, thank you all for listening and giving us your time. I appreciate the comments. On the next one, we'll definitely do a little bit more of a read, and we'll look at the feedback and whatnot. And other than that, be on the lookout for other chapters that are going to be coming out soon. Yes, and have a good night, a wonderful night. Bye.